You thought Disney was the dominant figure in the movie universe? Ha! Well, you might want to think again. Hey guys, Spicy Potato Entertainment here, and today I'm going to try and determine whether or not Disney or Warner Brothers is the true king of cinema. In this debate, I will only be looking at the movies and the business agreements and purchases, not other things like merchandise, sales, and so forth. So we'll start out with analyzing the top 3 money-earning movies for Disney. Disney's top earning movie is quite obviously Star Wars The Force Awakens, sitting at a solid $936 million, with Rogue One, Episode 8, the Young Han Solo movie, and Episode 9 along the way, with a Boba Fett spinoff and a possible Obi-Wan movie. Star Wars is definitely set to be Disney's top moneymaker. Next, we have 2012's Marvel's The Avengers, grossing at about $600 million worldwide. It's incredible to think that The Avengers has been the MCU's most successful movie, edging out Age of Ultron by just under $200 million, and that's the next closest one. And finally, we have Pixar's most successful movie, Finding Dory, totaling in at about $475 million. Now, if we look at Warner Brothers, their top movie is 2008's The Dark Knight, grossing in at about $500 billion. This is the second most successful superhero movie in terms of box office grossing, behind The Avengers. Not far behind is a sequel to this 2008 hit, The Dark Knight Rises, which totals in at about $448 million, making the Dark Knight trilogy easily Warner Brothers' most successful film franchise. The final edition is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, grossing in at a total of about $381 million, about $100 million more than Part 1 of the Deathly Hallows. So, what gives? How can I possibly question the status of Disney as the top of the movie industry when they're pretty much beating the crap out of Warner Brothers in terms of box office earnings? Well, when you look at the number of movies produced by both companies, Warner Brothers produced 178 in the 70s, 233 in the 80s, 249 in the 90s, and over 300 in the new century, along with 138 in this decade. It's a pretty dang lot of movies. Now, if you look at Disney, who made 47 in the 70s, 28 in the 80s, 28, 69 in the 90s, 93 in the thousands, and 71 in the new decade. Now, even if I miscounted, there is no way that Disney is even close to Warner Brothers. Okay, the combination of Warner Brothers in the new decade and in the 90s outnumbers all Disney movie production since the 70s. Now that is incredible. But wait a minute, I hear you say. The money doesn't lie. As of recently, Disney has doubled the money earned in their top movie, The Force Awakens, than in Warner Brothers' top movie, The Dark Knight. And yes, you're correct, until you look at the costs Disney invested in not just those movies, but the companies that formerly owned them. Take Lucasfilm, for example. They bought it from George Lucas for 4 billion buckaroos. Their latest film, The Force Awakens, did not cross 1 billion in box office grossing, and despite their toy sales and everything else Star Wars, Disney has still yet to make up for their investment. They also paid Stan Lee $4 billion for Marvel, and they even get the full rights. Fox owns the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Deadpool. Only recently did they win their fight with Sony to gain the rights of Spider-Man, who appeared in Civil War. So despite all that said, Disney still has a lot of ground to make up, plus their investments in ESPN, which has caused them trouble as of late, ABC, Pixar, and many others. It's a lot to keep track of. Now, if we turn our attention to Warner Brothers, they own prosperous channels like the Cartoon Network and the CW, who's flourishing right now with TV shows like The Flash and Arrow. Plus, owning Cartoon Network also means that at one point, Warner Brothers had an affiliation with Star Wars, with 5 whole seasons of the Star Wars The Clone Wars show airing on their channel. Plus, they've had their hands on DC Comics for a long, long time. I mean, you look at Disney, they own Marvel since about 2008? No, later than that, about 2012. 2011, 2012, sometime around then. But you look at Warner Brothers, and they have held DC's rights since at least the 70s, since Superman, the original Superman that was filmed in the late 70s, was run by Warner Brothers, but not even close to being done. I was just scratching the surface. I'm now going to get into the two biggest pieces of evidence to support how Warner Brothers has the edge on Disney. First of all, when you look at Disney, you see how a lot of expensive productions Disney has spent. Look at The Force Awakens. They spent $400 million on marketing and producing the entire movie. That would, along with the box office grossing, render it about half in terms of profit. But, there's a whole bunch of other factors that raise that up again. But still, that's $400 million down the drain. And plus, the animation costs in their Pixar films are not cheap, They cost some moolah. They cost a lot of money to make those beautiful animations. But also, in making the Avengers and assembling the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they have to pay large sums of money to their super actors and their big contracts. But Warner Brothers also do the same thing with the DCEU, except they're not paying big-time actors like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth. Warner Brothers is paying young and fresh actors, largely unknown by the public, except for Batfleck, of course. I mean, how do you not know Ben Affleck before Batman? Unless you're like 4. I mean, seriously. I mean, did you honestly know who Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, and Jason Momoa were before the DCEU? I mean, a couple you might have known, but you probably don't know all of them, like, other than the DCEU. But I will admit, the DCEU has started paying out to big name actors like Will Smith and Margot Robbie in Suicide Squad, which has so far earned over $100 million at the time of this video's recording, which is about around maybe a week after Suicide Squad came out. But my biggest piece of evidence is that Warner Brothers is not even a head company. What? Is that they're not like Disney, who own Pixar, Marvel, etc., but Warner Brothers is owned by a parent company. That parent company is Time Warner. The founders of Time Warner Cable and HBO, and of course, Warner Brothers. Time Warner, with all of its combined earnings, easily tramples over Disney. Forget Warner Brothers, it's their old man we should be cowering before. And that is what sets Warner Brothers apart from other giants like Disney and Sony. They're just a single piece of an enormous company. They bring in most of the money, but they're just a child of Time Warner. So through the combined intel of more movies, more costs that Disney has to pay, and the fact that Warner Brothers isn't even in charge of its own company, I have proven that Warner Brothers eclipses Disney in the movie genre. But that does not mean that Disney loses the war, just this battle. If you figure in the merchandise sales, the success of Disney's theme parks like Disneyland and Disney World, and all sorts of other stuff, that changes the whole ballgame. And if you look at Disney's future movies, like what I said earlier, the future of Star Wars, the future of the MCU, that could give Disney an enormous boost, one that makes it untouchable. But for now, Warner Brothers is their biggest threat, and right now, they have some catching up to do. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe for more Spicy Potato entertainment, and I will see you guys later. Spicy Potato out.